Thanks for watching Numbskull News. And today, well, before I get started, let me just say happy Christmas. I hope everybody got what they wanted. I know I did. I'm talking to you through it right now. Got me a new mic. Hell yeah. Now you can hear my sexy overtones forever. Anyway, I am going to talk about Florida State in the SEC. I've been letting everybody from everything that I've heard, how shall I say it? I've been letting everybody influence me as far as Florida State and the Big Ten. Now, even in my last video, I said Florida State, 70% chance of going to the Big Ten? Well, I'm going to flip that around. I'm done letting all these other people influence the way I think. It's always good to listen. It's always good to maybe curtail some of the things that you're thinking in light of new information or people that you like to watch, people who may not be as full of crap as others. But you still got to go with your own instinct, I think. Now, it's difficult for me because I am a natural contrarian. I tend to go against the grain on everything. Now, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. But when it comes to sports, it's a lot of fun. Whether or not I'm right or wrong or whatever, I don't care. I'm here to have a good time and chop it up and talk some shit. I know you guys are too. So, having said all that, and in light of this new information, once Florida State decided they're going to sue the ACC, well, they dropped a rather large bomb. They dropped several bombs, but the nuclear bomb was ESPN and the opt-out clause in 2027. They could opt out of this thing. So, what does that mean? That means the conference is getting no more money from ESPN. That's what that means. So, you may say, well, Florida State gets out of the ACC grant of rights. They're a free agent. It's maybe at best a 50-50 shot between the Big Ten and the SEC. Yes. However, some new information came to light from Bob Thompson. He went on 365 Sports. And he basically sounded like me for a split second when he said, and I'm going to paraphrase, I'll never exactly quote anybody. I'm not writing shit down. But what he said was he would be surprised if ESPN just lets Florida State walk away. Why? Because there's tremendous value there. They get tremendous ratings. They're a great national brand. And they get premium matchups. Now, he didn't say all that. He just said he would be surprised if ESPN just let them go to the Big Ten and Fox and lose that content, lose those matchups. Wouldn't be very wise of them to do so. So I had to put on my little thinking cap, maybe a little tinfoil in there. I'm like, okay, well, how do they increase the odds from 50-50 of getting Florida State? Well, the answer is in them nuking the conference by opting out of the media rights deal in 2027. Now, we all know Florida State wants out of the ACC before that, but they're going to have to pay a premium to do so. However, if you're ESPN, you're like, look, we want you to sign with the SEC. We want you in our world. All right, we want to broadcast your games with the SEC. We love the matchups. Not to mention it's regional. Tallahassee is like right there in the middle of SEC country. Everything's in driving distance. Even Austin is not that far. Maybe Norman is stretching it a little bit, but everything else is not, this insane distance. So that's a plus for the SEC. But how could they talk Florida State into doing that? Well, or even because like basically ESPN would say, okay, we're going to nuke the conference. We'll opt out in 2027. So there's no more money associated with the grant of rights. So that 500 million, whatever, no. That's based off of ESPN money. When that money's gone, then all of a sudden you have an unenforceable grant of rights. You can leave. Now, you may say, well, there's that $120 million exit fee. $120 million for what exactly? For a conference that doesn't have a media rights deal? No. Why would Florida State want to wait till 2027 to get out for $0? All right. The last time I checked, zero is less than 500 million. Even if they negotiate it down to 300, 200, 100, $5, zero still less than $5. So ESPN can pull the plug in 2027, $0 to get out. That would work, I think, rather perfectly for FSU. And by the way, it would work for any school in the conference. Because there's more reasons than just that ESPN wants to do that. Now, do they want to pay Florida State double? Not really. Do they want to pay any ACC team that they have? If they opt in, they'd have until 2036 on a sweetheart deal. And we didn't know how sweet of a deal that was, but it's damn sweet for ESPN. No, they don't want to pay them that SEC money. Double them up. But there's plenty of other schools in there. All right. Louisville. Everyone's talking about Louisville to the Big 12, or Virginia Tech to the Big 12, or NC State to the Big 12, or Georgia Tech. What about Duke to the Big 12? And you're basically, and if you could do that, remember, Fox, they pay a third of that contract. So you'll be saving a ton of money by taking them and moving them to the Big 12 if you're ESPN. And then the other schools you're having to pay that you may not want to pay, all apologies to Boston College and Syracuse and Wake Forest, all of a sudden they come off the books. This is a point where ESPN is looking at downsizing. They're trying to save money. They've already had a big-ass round of layoffs. It doesn't mean they're afraid to spend a little money, bring in a Pat McAfee. But if they could save $1, they're going to save $1. And this saves them a hell of a lot of money to do this. To bring in maybe 2 schools from the ACC. Dare I say Florida State and Clemson. And Florida State is going to be the first out the door. And they want to keep that content because it makes too much money. The matchups are just too good. I know there's positives to UNC and there's positives to Virginia. I get it. But they don't get the ratings. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with my gut instinct. I've been saying Florida State and Clemson to the SEC forever. And I'm not going to abandon that. I'm just not going to because of what other people online, even your big media types, because the big media types were shocked as hell when they heard the details of the grant of rights for the ACC, because everything's kept under lock and key. We all assumed that these people knew what they were talking about, that they knew, they were privy to this information. They had this information from inside sources, and they didn't. We've been talking about that ACC grant of rights for over a year now. And we just now found out that ESPN can opt out. What the absolute fuck? I mean, I don't care what the Athletic, the New York Post, New York Times, I don't give a damn, Gooberville, Gazette, whatever. All of these big media people didn't know shit. None of them. None of them. They found out when we found out. Ain't that some shit? So, based on that, I'm going to take the advice of Bob Thompson. Don't let anybody tell you they know anything about realignment, because nobody knows shit. So, knowing that very valuable piece of information, I'm going to go ahead and stick to my guns until I see something happen differently. Because so far, I don't bat 1,000, not even close. Not even close. But when the chips were down, it didn't look like it was going to happen. What was I saying? Colorado, Utah, Arizona State to the Big 12, and I'll be damned if it didn't happen. I'll be damned if it didn't happen. Now, I didn't think Oregon and Washington would get picked up that quick by the Big Ten, but like I said, I don't bat 1,000. Nobody does. So, given that, I'm still on the Florida State Clemson train to the SEC. I think ESPN has a damn huge card to play in the next round of realignment. They haven't played it yet, but it's right there. It's a massive freaking wild card. It's the ace up the sleeve. It's all that. And when they play it, they'll get what they want. And for everyone that says, well, Florida State got screwed by ESPN. Yes, they did. They did. I know that. All y'all know that. But guess what? ESPN also screwed the Big 12. Guess what? We re-upped with them. We did. Why? Because it's good for business. That's why. This shit's about business. This is sports, entertainment. It's not about your academics. Never was. It's not about your education or educating young minds. It ain't. It's about the money. It's about the money. That's what it's always been about. So, if it's good for business for Florida State to take their ass to the SEC and get that Mickey Mouse money, guess what? They're going to get a big fat check from Mickey. It doesn't make a damn if they got screwed before, because now they'll be an SEC team. ESPN ain't trying to screw that. No, as we've seen, they are willing to screw anybody else, but they're not going to screw the SEC. So if you become SEC, guess what? That's ironclad. That's the only thing that is. So, Florida State, Seminoles, to the SEC. Straight to ESPN, straight to Disney. That's what's going to happen. In my humble opinion. That's not so humble. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.